My name is Diana Foster, and I've been married to Robert for 30 years. 30 years of building a life together, raising two beautiful children, and creating what I thought was an unbreakable bond. Our anniversary fell on a Saturday this year. I'd planned something special: his favorite dinner, candles, the good wine we'd been saving. But when the evening came, Robert seemed distant, distracted. "I'm tired," he said simply, kissing my forehead. "Let's just go to bed." Those words stung more than I expected, but I nodded, understanding that 30 years means sometimes you're just tired. We went to our separate rooms, something we'd started doing 5 years ago when his snoring became unbearable. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering when we'd become roommates instead of soulmates. Then, at midnight, I heard it. A moan. Soft at first, then unmistakable. It was coming from Carla's room, our housekeeper of 3 years. A woman I'd trusted, a woman I'd confided in during lonely afternoons when Robert worked late. My heart pounded as I walked down the hallway, my bare feet silent on the hardwood floor. The sounds grew clearer, a man's voice mixed with hers. Robert's voice. I stood outside that door for what felt like an eternity, my hand trembling on the doorknob. Part of me wanted to burst in, to scream, to shatter everything. But another part, the part that had learned patience and observation over 30 years, told me to wait. I opened the door slowly. There they were. My husband, my employee, tangled together in sheets I'd probably washed myself. Robert froze. Carla gasped, pulling the blanket up to cover herself. "Diana," Robert started, his face pale. I held up my hand. "Not now." I walked back to my room, closed the door, and did something unexpected. I smiled, because in that moment, I realized something profound. I wasn't shattered. I was free. The next morning I made breakfast as usual. Robert came down, looking sheepish, probably expecting tears or thrown dishes. "We need to talk," he said. "We do," I agreed, pouring coffee. "But first, tell me how long." He shifted uncomfortably. 6 months. 6 months. While I'd been planning anniversary dinners and coordinating family gatherings, he'd been sneaking down the hallway. "Do you love her?" I asked, my voice steady. He looked surprised by the question. I don't know. It just happened." "Things don't just happen, Robert. We make choices." I sat across from him, holding my coffee cup with both hands. "I'm not angry. Not anymore. I'm disappointed. But mostly, I'm clear." "Clear about what?" "About what comes next." Over the following weeks, I didn't scream or make scenes. I was kind to Carla, which confused her more than anger would have. I maintained normalcy while quietly consulting with the best divorce attorney in the city. My attorney, Margaret Chen, was a sharp woman in her 60s who'd seen everything. "You have options," she said, reviewing our assets. "The house, his retirement fund, the vacation property. 30 years of marriage means you're entitled to quite a bit." "I want what's fair," I said. "Not revenge." But Margaret smiled. "Sometimes, Diana, justice looks a lot like revenge." I learned that Robert had been taking money from our joint account for months, buying gifts, paying for hotel rooms, funding a secret life I knew nothing about. Carla wasn't even the first. There had been others. That changed things. I documented everything. Bank statements, text messages, receipts. Robert had been careless, probably thinking I was too trusting to ever look. When I finally filed for divorce, Robert was shocked. "Diana, we can work through this," he pleaded. "It was a mistake. I'll end it with Carla. We can go to counseling." "Oh," I said gently. "We can't." "But 30 years, exactly. 30 years. And you threw them away for 6 months of excitement." The divorce proceedings revealed everything. His affairs, the money, the lies. Our children, Marcus and Jennifer, both grown with families of their own, were devastated but supportive. "I'm so sorry, Mom," Jennifer said, holding my hand. "I can't believe Dad would do this." "People change," I told her. "Or maybe they reveal who they always were, and we just didn't want to see it." Robert tried to paint me as vindictive, but the evidence spoke for itself. The judge was a woman near my age who'd probably seen similar stories countless times. In the end, I got the house, a significant portion of his retirement, and monthly support. Carla lost her job not because I fired her, but because she couldn't face me anymore and quit. Robert moved into a small apartment across town. But here's what surprised everyone, including myself. 6 months after the divorce was final, I ran into Carla at the grocery store. She looked thin, tired. She tried to hurry past, but I stopped her. "Carla, wait." She turned, her eyes wary. "Mrs. Foster, I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I was wrong. I broke your trust." I looked at this woman who'd once felt like family. "Yes, you did, and it hurt, but I'm not going to carry that hurt forever." She started crying right there in the produce section. "He left me," she said quietly. "After the divorce. He said it wasn't the same, that the excitement was gone. I lost everything, my job, my dignity, and him. I should have felt vindicated, but instead, I felt sad. Sad for all of us, for the years Robert wasted, for the woman Carla had become, for the trust that had been broken. "I forgive you," I said. And I meant it. Forgiveness wasn't about them. It was about freeing myself from the weight of betrayal. A year after the divorce, I sold the big house and bought a cozy cottage by the lake. I started painting again, something I'd given up decades ago. I traveled to places Robert never wanted to go. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones. My children worried at first, thinking I'd become bitter or lonely. But I wasn't. I was discovering who Diana Foster was outside of being Robert's wife. One evening, sitting on my porch watching the sunset over the water, Jennifer visited with her daughter, my granddaughter Emma. "You seem happy, Mom," Jennifer observed. "Really happy." "I am," I said, and I realized it was true. Emma, who was 7, climbed into my lap. "Grandma, why don't you live with Grandpa anymore?" It was a question I'd known would come. "Sometimes," I told her, "people grow in different directions. Your grandpa and I loved each other once, very much, but love requires respect and honesty. And when those things break, love can't survive alone." "Are you sad?" Emma asked. "Sometimes," I admitted, "but mostly I'm grateful." "For what?" "For learning that I'm stronger than I thought. For having more time to spend with you. For second chances." 2 years after the divorce, I heard through mutual friends that Robert and Carla had tried dating, but it hadn't lasted. He was alone now, living in that apartment, retired early, probably wondering how everything had fallen apart. I didn't gloat. I didn't feel superior. I just felt free. Because here's what I learned from that midnight discovery on our 30th anniversary. Betrayal can destroy you, or it can reveal you. It can make you bitter, or it can make you better. I chose better. The story could have ended in rage, in revenge, in making Robert suffer the way he made me suffer. But that would have kept me tied to him, bound by anger instead of love. Instead, I let go. I released the version of myself that needed his validation, his presence, his broken promises. And in that release, I found something unexpected: peace. My life now is smaller in some ways, one person instead of two, cottage instead of a mansion. But it's fuller, richer, more authentically mine. I still believe in love. I still believe in marriage. I just no longer believe in sacrificing yourself to save something that the other person has already let go. The moans I heard through that door at midnight weren't just sounds of betrayal. They were, in a strange way, sounds of liberation. They freed me from a marriage that had become a performance, from a life I was living for someone else, from the fear of being alone. And now, sitting here by the lake, painting, laughing with my grandchildren, I understand something I wish I'd known decades ago. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. I am alone now, yes, but I am not lonely. I am complete. And that midnight revelation, as painful as it was, became the greatest gift Robert never intended to give me. The gift of finding myself again.